Hey there, guys. This is going to be a different kind of video. This is going to be kind of an opinion-based video because of the news that broke today. And basically, what happened was, a while back there was, of course, we had the movie Justice League, which came out, and a lot of people really didn't like it. I'll talk about my thoughts on it a little bit later on, but everyone kept talking about because Justice League, the director Zack Snyder had to leave the project early because his daughter had died during the production of the film. I think it was the post-production, if I remember correctly, but he left the film, and so Joss Whedon came in and directed the rest of the film. And even though he directed most of the film, he didn't get the full credit on the film as a director as Zack Snyder did. Movie came out, movie didn't do well, and slowly but surely DC has really turned its movie studio around since then because they've actually made much better films in the process with Aquaman, Shazam. One of them was before Justice League came out, and I'll even say Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey was another movie that was maybe it wasn't as good as Shazam or Aquaman were, but it was still a pretty good movie. But basically, what I'm here to talk about is the news that broke today. There was a thing back then about how people want to see the Snyder Cut, the Zack Snyder version of Justice League, which I never took it seriously. I think a lot of people didn't really take it seriously, except for DC fanboys who kept going online and talking about how we need the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut, Warner Brothers, Snyder Cut, Snyder Cut, Snyder Cut. And honestly, I didn't think it even existed. But then even the cast members from Justice League got in on the fun and say, "Hey, release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut." And like I said, I didn't think it actually existed. But then today, we finally got the confirmation that apparently it does exist, and that we're going to see it in next year on HBO Max. Zack Snyder, during a watch party, I think it was for Man of Steel, talked about how they revealed the plans for what they're going to do for this. And so apparently the Snyder Cut is real, and we're going to see it sometime next year. Most people will. I won't. And that's the purpose of making this video, is for me to basically say that I am not going to review the Snyder Cut when it comes out. And I'm going to tell you why. I thought about what I wanted to say about this in this video, about why I'm not going to review the film. And it's basically, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again, because, I mean, think back to when Batman v Superman came out. There were a lot of problems with that movie. I hated that movie. Like, at the time, as I came out of it, I thought, okay, this isn't that bad. But then, the more and more I thought about it, and what the movie did, it just made me madder and madder. And at the end, I had to figure it out. I had to figure that I finally figured it out. It's this generation's Phantom Menace. It's that movie where a lot of people were excited about it. Because they couldn't wait for it. They were pumped. They liked what they saw with Man of Steel. And it's like, okay, give us the great movie. And for them, and when it came out, nobody really had a real definitive thinking of what they really thought about it. They thought, well, it was good, I guess. And slowly but surely, I think a lot of people have come around to the fact that it's not a very good movie. I even said that, excuse me, I even said that it was the worst movie I saw in 2016, and I still stick by that. It's one of the worst movies of the decade. It just wasn't a very good movie. Like, there are things about it that I think are good. I like the cast, I like Ben Affleck, I like Gal Gadot. I just don't think Zack Snyder really wanted to make a Superman movie. When you really think about, go back to Man of Steel. Like, Man of Steel is not your typical Superman movie. It's a decent film, but it's not that great of a movie. Like, I still like it, but I don't love it as much as I think a lot of people really do. And I think those problems really came into focus with Batman v Superman. So, yeah, I didn't like that one so much. And I don't think Zack Snyder's a bad director. Don't get me wrong. He's made great movies. His Dawn of the Dead is a great film. 300 is a really good film. I even like Watchmen. I think that movie's gotten a lot better in the years since it's come out. Legends of the Guardians is a very underrated film he did. That was his animated movie he did from the same people who did Happy Feet. I think for me, his downfall really began with Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch was just one of those god-awful movies that it started maybe realizing that Zack Snyder was not immune. Like, he can make bad films. Like, he came back a little bit with Man of Steel, but Batman v Superman was not that good of a movie. And so I was not looking forward to Justice League when I first saw the film. And I was surprised, but I was surprised. I actually didn't hate it. In fact, I actually kind of enjoyed it. It's not a great movie, but it has stuff that I thought Batman v Superman was missing. It fixed a lot of the problems that Batman v Superman had. It actually made Superman likable, and it made the characters from the Superman universe likable too. Like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor was one of the worst things about Batman v Superman. He shows up at the end of this of Justice League. It's one of the best things about the movie because that's what Lex Luthor is. Like that performance he gives in that movie at the end of Justice League is much better than anything that we saw in Batman v Superman, where he's basically Jar Jar Lex Luthor. But like I said, Justice League is not a great movie. It has a lot of problems to it, but it's a fun movie. And personally, I like the Joss Whedon cut better than what Zack Snyder probably would have done. And that brings me to why I'm saying that I'm not going to look at the Zack Snyder movie, because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. Like, I don't want to see what he does with this. I hear that there's a possibility that this could be split up into different parts, like a TV series. They're going to add he's getting $20 to $30 million more to make this a reality, and apparently the cast is coming back because the stuff they've done hasn't even been shot yet. So I don't know. I just have this feeling this is going to be a total disaster when it actually comes out. And that's why I'm not going to watch this, because I don't want to go back down that rabbit hole again and have to relive the horrors of what Zack Snyder did with these characters. Not to say that he can't do it, but I just don't trust him after what I saw with Batman v Superman. Like, if he's going to follow it up from that movie, I really don't want to see what he could do with this. And that's why I'm kind of steering away from this. Like, when this movie comes out, I'm not going to have a review for it on my site. I'm not going to have a review for it here. If people want to review it, go ahead. I'm not going to stop them. Like, what am I going to do? But just for me, I don't want to see this. Like, I think a lot of people are going to look at this and go, there's a possibility that this could fail miserably. But those hardcore DC fans who want so much to be every movie to be so much like what Marvel is doing, there's a difference between what DC and Marvel did. It's like Marvel, when they planned out their whole shared universe, they took years and years to develop these characters, and that's why we become so attached to them. But with what DC did, it's like, okay, we're going to cram all that within the span of 3 years. Like, it was 3 years between Man of Steel and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and not even a year after that, Man of Steel came out. They said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have all these movies come out in a specific amount of time, and it's just like, it just doesn't work. Like, you can't build a world within 3 years. Like, you have to give it time. That's what I think a lot of these shared universes have a lot of problem with dealing with, because they can't accept the fact that it took Marvel years and years to develop this universe, and they said, no, we want the Marvel money now, so we're going to take what Marvel did, cut it in half, and not even take the time and effort to actually put together a good movie out of it. But the reason why I'm not, it's like I said, the reason why I'm not going to review the new Justice League movie or whatever this is that I just don't trust Zack Snyder on this. I just don't think there's nothing really there that he could do that would really convince me that this thing needs to exist, which I don't think it can. I don't think it can work. I don't think there's anything that could make it work. And I think the overall product at the end is just going to be this massive disaster. I'm like seeing those premonitions that Sally saw in Night Before Christmas, where she gets in the Night Before Christmas. If you remember, in the Nightmare Before Christmas, she sees premonitions of Jack's plan falling apart, and then sure enough, that's exactly what happens. I just feel like that's going to happen here. I just feel like going up to Zack Snyder and telling him, this is going to be a disaster. Don't do this. But apparently it's going to happen. It's going to be happening on HBO Max within the next year. So, like I said, a lot of people are going to see what this is like. I'm not going to be the ones to do that. I'm just basically going to tell you guys right now that I am not going to check this out. Unfortunately, I just refuse to see it. Like, I don't know what Zack Snyder could do with this. that could make this, that could turn this whole thing around, which I don't think he can. If Batman v Superman was an indication of what Zack Snyder was planning to do with this extended universe they were building, that's not a good sign going forward for this. So this is basically a quick video just to kind of talk about this new Snyder Cut that's coming out, and me basically saying, yeah, I'm not going to take a look at it. Anyone else who wants to obviously can do whatever they want, have fun with it, but yeah, right now I'm not gonna take that chance. So I'm definitely not gonna be watching this when that comes out. So that's it, and have a good night. Laziest way to end a video ever.